Let's be honest, our self-esteem and our self-worth can fluctuate. Sometimes we find our self-worth feeling amazing, we're feeling like we're on cloud nine, and other times our self-esteem and self-worth can be, well, honestly, the bar can be in hell and we can feel horrible. In this video, we are going to break down what self-esteem is and how you can improve your self-esteem. So what is self-esteem and how is it broken down? Self-esteem refers to the degree to which we elevate ourselves positively. It represents how much we like or value ourselves and is many times based on comparison with others. So with this in mind, as I was doing a lot of research on self-esteem, any trauma experience, any dramatic life changes, or any environmental impact can impact your self-esteem. Even at a young age, self-worth and self-esteem is being developed. One thing that I found extremely interesting when it came to self-esteem was this. You actually can have high self-confidence and low self-esteem. Isn't that crazy? So what exactly does this look like? Because it seems a little weird, right? Here's an example. I believe I can start a YouTube channel. I can create the skills to do it, and I just know I can. But I doubt my worth because who actually cares to listen? Who actually cares what I have to say? Self-confidence is not the same as self-esteem. Self-confidence is actually developed when you develop a skill and perfect that skill. So anybody can learn how to set up a camera or possibly start a channel, start a business, but the self-esteem is where your worth comes in to, do you actually believe that you'll be supported? Do you actually believe that you're worthy of someone tuning in or someone making a purchase or someone supporting you? So self-esteem definitely fluctuates, but it's important to be mindful of it. There are many things that determine our low self-esteem. Things like mindset, life events, goals that maybe we've set, but we did not keep the promise to ourselves, and an array of other things. Whatever is the cause of your low self-esteem, I encourage you to pinpoint it if you can and get a grip. Make it your mission to overcome whatever that is and use it as something that can benefit you. It's crucial that you raise your low self-esteem to become high self-esteem. And why is this? I actually learned something really crazy the other day. So anybody who knows me knows I love crime. I love stories about psychopaths. I don't know why. I just find it fascinating how somebody could become so evil and crazy. And so I actually learned recently that we all know that human beings are creatures, right? We are just like the animals out running around. We obviously are different in our own way, but we do have a sixth sense like animals do. Animals know when it's going to rain or if a hurricane is on its way, just like animals can sense if an intruder is about to break into the house. If you have a dog, they start barking before you even realize someone is outside of your home. The same can be said about predators and people who have ill intentions. So when you think about predators, bullies, people that just genuinely aren't good people, they can actually sense if you have low self-esteem. It's almost like a pheromone is coming off of you. And I know this sounds crazy because a lot of times we as people, and I can only speak as a woman, me personally as a woman, there have been times in my life where I have had low self-esteem and I haven't had a firm foundation of confidence within myself, but outwardly I'm presenting as if I'm tough and I have it all put together. But if it's not genuine, people can in fact sense that. And so this is why it's important for you to be mindful of your self-esteem and make it your mission to raise it up any chance you can get. Low self-esteem can actually lead you into believing that you don't have options. It can actually lead to a mindset of, this is just the lot I have and I need to just lay down in it. because this is all I'm worthy of. And this is such a dangerous position and mindset to have, because once again, going back to what I learned about predators and bullies and people who genuinely want to cause harm, you do not want to put yourself in that position. So any chance you feel your self-esteem plummeting, I encourage you to get a grip, take a breath, and take a moment, because you, my friend, can create options and you can create reassurance within yourself. There is a Japanese concept that I love so much, and it's called kintsugi. Hopefully I said that correctly. And this is about brokenness and how that actually increases the value of a thing. So the way that the story goes is there was an ancient Japanese warrior king, and he had a very favorite jar that he would drink from, and it was beautiful and it was stunning. And one day it shattered and people freaked out, lost their mind. They're like, we are going to be executed. What are we going to do? And so the king warrior man did not want another jar. And so what they did was they put the pieces back together with gold. And so the king actually saw this new improved jar as being more valuable, not because it was perfect, but because it was now fused together with gold. And so this became a art and a aspired way of having jars and containers in Japan. And it actually spread. So people would start to break their vessels and fuse them together with gold. And so the cracks showed the updated value. And so I want to encourage you that if you've been through anything in your life and you just feel like a broken piece of container, and you just are like, man, I'm not like how I used to be before life came and happened to me. Understand that you can actually fuse yourself back with gold, and that there is still so much beauty and value in how you've put yourself back together. Don't be defeated. Be motivated. And no matter what people say about, oh, if you are at this age, you can no longer do X, or if you've made this many mistakes, it's over for you, or if you've been through XYZ, forget about this dream that you have. It's all dumb and it's not real life. And there is no roadblock unless your mind and you put attention and power to that roadblock. You have a purpose, and if you're still here, you have options. The better you feel about yourself, the less likely the world can run all over you, and less likely you yourself will get wrapped around the axle when you have a bad day. So I wanted to share some ways that you can actually start to cultivate high self-esteem in your life today. Get out a pen and paper and let's get into it. Number one, I want you to make a list of things that you love about yourself. And if you can't uncover things that you love about yourself, or you feel a block come up, text your friend, text your family member, text someone that loves you and ask them, what are things that you love about me? And I want you to write them down, and I want you to put them in a place where you can see it every single day and remind yourself of how amazing you are. Secondly, make a list of things that you have overcome. There's a concept by David Goggins where he talks about the cookie jar method, and he writes down a bunch of things that he's overcome, no matter how small or big, and he puts them in a cookie jar. And anytime he's having a rough time or feels like he just can't do the thing or he can't function that day, he goes into the cookie jar and he pulls out, and it reminds himself of how far he has come and all of the things that he has overcome. And you were just like, between, wow, this is what I love about myself, this is what people love about me, and okay, I've overcome all of this. Unstoppable, honey. Number 3, I want you to start practicing saying no more often. And honestly, this one will help you so much. The more you start to say no, you will start to see your people-pleasing tendencies fall off you like a bunch of weights. What is people-pleasing? People-pleasing is defined as a strong urge to please others, even at their own expense. And we don't want you to risk your own well-being just to please other people. Listen, it's so nice to be supportive of others and to help others, but at the end of the day, your self-esteem and your self-worth does take a major hit, especially when you tie your self-worth and your self-esteem to how much you do for others. The next thing I want you to think about doing to raise your self-esteem is to get out of your comfort zone. Go to that side of town where you think maybe you don't belong because you haven't made it yet. Dress up in that outfit that you think may be a little extra. Put on some lipstick and blush. Be extra. For no reason. You don't need a reason to look nice. You don't need a reason to stroll and window shop on the nicer side of town. The next time someone invites you to go do something fun, go and do that thing that is fun. You don't need a reason to have a good time and spend time with your community and get outside of your home and outside of your comfort zone. You never know who you'll meet or what new skills or perspectives or blessings you will come across. Hold space for more bliss in your life. And I found that getting out of my comfort zone does hold more space for more bliss. And a lot of times when our self-worth is in the gutter, we don't feel like we can hold space for bliss. We don't feel like we can just rest in a good moment because the shoe is going to drop. But I encourage you, the more you get outside of your comfort zone, the more you start doing things that bring bliss and joy into your life, that's self-esteem, baby. Boop, shoots right to the top. The next thing I want you to do is practice not comparing yourself to others. Listen, your story is your story. There's a reason why you've experienced the things that you have experienced. If everybody was the same, this planet would be boring. No one would feel seen or relatable, or we wouldn't have these epic stories of triumph and success because it would all look the same. If I met a woman tomorrow that had a very straight-laced life, she never went through anything, white picket fence, I wouldn't be able to relate to her. But if there was somebody who had a similar life to me, but they're ahead of me and they went through a bunch, I would feel so encouraged. So it's important for us to not compare ourselves to other people because it does cause us to have low self-esteem and low worth. If you need to detox from social media, unfollow people that maybe cause you to look down on yourself, do it. I encourage you to consume things that uplift you. Consume content and material that will help you to dream big and put yourself into the future and put yourself into possibilities that you honestly don't believe can happen for you right now, but will slowly start to brainwash yourself into believing it's possible. I believe everyone is brainwashed. It's really just a matter of what we choose to allow ourselves to wash our brain of. We can brainwash ourselves into bad, or we can brainwash ourselves into something good. Next thing I want you to try doing is to forgive yourself. Bottom line is, you didn't know what you know now back then, and that's okay. We are human beings and we are able to make our own mistakes. We are able to hold space for the part of ourselves that didn't know any better. Forgive yourself of any self-hatred that you've imposed on yourself, and make it your mission to love yourself, and love yourself regardless of if someone else is doing it for you, if the circumstances are the right time. Just make it your mission to love on yourself and let it be an intrinsic love. I just want to remind you that you are not your thoughts. So anytime a thought pops in your head of a time when you were just totally lost, or you got that cringe moment, it's okay. You're not your thoughts. Let the thought come in, give it a place of acknowledgement, say thank you for revealing yourself, you can go now, and release it. Release it and let it pass, and hold space for positive thoughts to re-enter your brain and take space where that negative thought in the past may have stayed for the whole week. The next thing I want you to practice to increase your self-esteem is boundaries, boundaries, boundaries. Boundaries, a lot of the times we think we have to tell people you're done, or you're cut off, or I no longer am doing XYZ. I have found that the best boundaries are the ones that don't have to be spoken. When you move differently, that's a boundary. When you decide to not go to certain places, that's a boundary. When you decide where you're going to put your time and your energy and it looks different, that's a boundary. When you decide to change and move differently, your environment has to respond accordingly. At the end of the day, people treat us how we've been allowing them to treat us. And sometimes we'll be so hurt, why are they treating me this way? Why are they acting this way? And we don't take a second to realize we've been allowing it. And a lot of times people don't even realize that they may be causing harm to you or hurting your feelings or making you feel some type of way, because that is the normal that they have been presented with. So it's up to you to set a new boundary, to set a new standard, a new expectation, and a new boundary. At the end of the day, if you don't set the boundaries in your life or the standards or the expectations for yourself, somebody else will. And that's where we have life that feels miserable and heavy. You don't want that. We want to be in our bliss. The next thing I encourage you to do is celebrate your wins, no matter how big or how small. Get a journal, and anytime something beautiful happens in your life, journal at the end of the night and thank God for them. Even if it was a lovely comment from someone saying you looked handsome or beautiful, or if it was a tip that was above and beyond at your job, or if your project went better than you thought. Take time and acknowledge any win, small or big, because it does compound in helping you feel that your self-esteem is just through the roof and your self-worth gets better and better. This next one is about releasing negative people and calling in higher quality people. So it's one thing to change your mindset and to fill your mind with all the good things and all the great ideas that uplift you. But if the people in your life are seeing you the same way and the people in your life haven't changed their mindset, it'll be very hard for you to sustain what's happening up here, because there's a lot of external influences coming at you. Some people are really comfortable with the old you that saw themselves as being less than and saw themselves as being walked all over and the ultimate people pleaser. There are people that love to remind you of your flaws. There are people that love to remind you of the times that you messed up or the mistakes you made. And honestly, these people can't go with you in the next season. And this is something that I had to come to grips with in my life, was releasing old friends, because I always wanted to be the girl that was like, no new friends and everyone's gonna go. But that's just not true. When you are trying to become a better version of yourself and you want to experience life that feels bliss and blessings flow and you just are happy and in your joy, and not just happy all the time, but genuinely feel like you're living a life that is worthy and full of purpose, you can't have a lot of people dragging you down. It's just not going to work, because you don't want these negative people to reinforce an identity that you are trying to release and that you are literally in the process of doing a full makeover on. So I encourage you to take note of the people in your circle and ask that God and that the divine would bring in beautiful, new and fresh relationships that can actually support you in this new stage of your life. And the last thing I encourage you to do to help increase your self-esteem is to get support and lean in on support. I am a firm believer in therapy. I'm a firm believer in getting life coaching if you need it. And I'm a firm believer in the power of community in your journey of wanting to level up and become the best version of yourself. It's going to ebb and flow. And there's something so powerful about having an accountability partner and someone on your team to say, you're higher than this. I'm calling you higher than this, or you're made for more, or stop the negative talk, or helping to be a mirror to you, to ground you. You will experience setbacks. We all do. And having someone in your corner to remind you of how far you've come there's nothing like it. So I'm going to leave you with this. Be patient with yourself. And I want you to see yourself, and I mean you watching this, not somebody that you're going to send this video to and you're like, oh, they need to hear this message. But see yourself as someone who is deserving of love, as someone who is deserving of bliss and blessings and joy and favor. You are a sacred gift to this planet. If there's breath in your lungs, you have purpose and you have options. Make it your mission to be the best version of yourself. And remember that progress doesn't happen overnight and nothing is linear. Well, guys, you've made it to the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that this message resonated with you. If you want to leave a comment below and share what stood out to you, I'd love to hear from you. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.